It's 5:35. I'd like to call the meeting to order. If you could join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, nothing under proclamations. I'd like to move on to the public comments, petitions, and memorials. The first thing we'd like to do is to recognize Lorenzo Mendez for 5 years of service. Mickey, I didn't know if you had anything you wanted to.
Appreciate very much. It's very often because he's part of us. He's helping the community. And I hope he stays for a very long time.
Yeah, 5 years is just the start. So, Brad, did you have anything you wanted to add?
I think that, having Lorenzo here for 5 years, and I've been able to, work with him a little bit here in the past year, especially. I've been able to witness the way that he interacts with the community. He's a very valuable asset to our police force. He's shown that by continuing his education and move up in the ranks of the police department. And I like to echo what Mickey said. I certainly hope that he's here for a very long time myself.
Lorenzo, forgot to come up here. Photo opportunity. Congratulations.
Thanks very much.
I appreciate it. All kinds of help for us.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, service.
We have one more person to recognize for 20 years of service. This gentleman started here, 20 years ago in the water department. And then when he retired, that was some huge shoes to fill. And that was a lot of knowledge that walked out that door when Rick walked out. And you stepped in to do that, which, it's scary to follow somebody of that caliber. Stayed there for a while. I don't have exact years, so we'll have to. And then following from that, Brad became our public works director, took over pretty much a new position that was created, and stepped into that leadership role for the city departments. And even then, I could witness the respect that he had amongst the department, the city workers, everybody. And it's no secret that we had some bumps for a couple years, looking for just the right leader for the city of Hiawatha. And I can remember having some discussions with Brad about it, if he'd be, if that was something he'd be interested in. And took you a while to decide if that was something you might want to do. And it was a perfect fit when Brad made a decision to take that seat, which is a scary position to take, lots of responsibility. But it's the fit that we were looking for, to have somebody who clearly loves the city and wants what's best for the city and wants what's best for the city crews. And so I'm going to echo what both Mickey and you said about Lorenzo's. I sure hope to see you in that seat for a very long time. So
Thank you.
I don't know if anybody else has anything else they want to add.
Well said.
So
Very well said.
We appreciate you, Brad.
Job, Brad.
Yeah, it's a pretty good city crew leadership, everybody in that office, and it's been satisfying to see how everything's fitting into place now, and we're going to be going good places. Absolutely. So, okay, moving on to the consent agenda. Is there anything that you need to add or discuss on that, Brad?
There's not, Thrivent Financial will be having an event in conjunction with back to school night for the elementary school. And this is going to be, you trying to utilize that street it kind of curves around as Hiawatha Avenue, kind of turns into Fifth Street right by the United Methodist Church. You want to utilize that for a few hours. And like I said, that's really kind of in support of back to school night for the Hiawatha Elementary School. So that is one of the things that's on the agenda here. We do have a volunteer firefighter application, so that's always good to see. But other than that, I don't have anything else to add.
Will that street need to be blocked off
It will be, yes.
on both ends?
Yes.
Okay.
I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second,
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda as presented. Any further discussion? If not, Don?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion passed 5-0. Nothing under old business. Moving on to new business, the revenue neutral rate intent. Brad?
So we need to let the county know by July 20th what our intent is as far as the revenue neutral rate goes. And in years past, what we've always done is we've always looked at this in a way that we look at our capital improvement plan, which really needed a revision. So this last week, what I did is on Wednesday, I sat down with all the department heads. We went over everything that they were going to be proposing for the capital improvement plan. And this is a draft of the capital improvement plan. This is anything that's been approved. These are projects that do need to be discussed. Mm-hmm. And so what I did, I looked at the maximum mill rate that it would take if we were to say that we were going to do all those projects, which is not something that the city of Hiawatha could do. I mean, really, this comes down to what we can afford to do in a year. You know, what kind of what kind of mill levy that we can afford. But if you look at all those projects, and I come up with just a top-end mill levy rate, that mill levy rate would be 41.926, which is above what the quite a bit above what the revenue neutral mill levy rate is of 35.772. And so that's what I would propose to the county as far as the mill levy rate goes, because it gives us the most flexibility to come down from that number, because that is the very top number that we would need to encompass all the projects that we've been talking about. Some of the projects that we've been talking about is administration wise we're looking at we're going to be proposing possibly getting new software for the city of Hiawatha. This would be our administrative software, financial software, things like that. And that's very expensive. That can in itself can be $100,000 or more. It could be less. So we're going to have a meeting tomorrow and kind of nail down how much we think that will actually be. And as far as Parks and Rec goes, it's a lot of ballpark improvements on there. And there was some on there for some Fisher Center improvements as well, especially to the flooring in there. That would be the entrance floor and the gym floor, and also the harness room and the loft. And so it really focuses on the flooring in the Fisher Center. Not a lot in pool. Affects the mill levy rate would be the police, and it's very basic there. It's just continuing to budget to replace police vehicles as they come up needed. It is things that normally we've been getting grants for, like a forensic computers, things like that. And these are all things that we'll discuss throughout the budget process. But those are the types of things that we have on our drafts capital improvement plan. And this is what we'll need to be discussing throughout the budget process. So that's what I have for now, and I'm open to any questions.
I mean, I think what's most important here to make sure that the community members know is just because we're saying that we're proposing a 41, I don't know if proposing is the right word I want to use, but saying it could be 41.92 is that's clearly what it could be, that's not what we're necessarily going to do. Because I remember last year there was a lot of discussion and panic that we're going to be raising all these, huge amount of taxes, and that's not the case. This just gives us the little room to talk about what we need to do. And so why not start out, give us the full opportunity to be able to discuss and go through the whole budget process. So I have no issue with starting out with this and knowing that is absolutely not where we're going to land. So.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, that the public doesn't always understand what that number really is, but like you said, it gives us a chance to go through our budget and really decide what projects we're going to work on. And I'm sure it's not going to be that high, but we gotta have some, we gotta give the county a number, and this allows us to work with our budget and see what we can afford and get that lowered.
Well, I'll say, that's almost an 18% increase. And I feel like even though that's a number that we're just kind of throwing out there, it's still irresponsible. And I think that we need to cut it in half. So I won't be in support of an 18% increase ever, regardless if we're just setting the bar. I think that's it's just too high, and even if we can approve it, we shouldn't.
This would also set the public hearing date for the budget for September 8th of 2025. And so that'll be the second Monday in September.
Well, I'd like to make a motion to inform the county clerk by July 19th of Hiawatha's plan to exceed the levy neutral rate at a levy rate of 41.926 mils, which encompasses all projects and equipment in the proposed capital improvement equipment replacement plan, and set the public hearing date for September 8th, 2025.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Not, Don?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Motion passed 4-1. Moving on to fireworks ban discussion. Brad?
Yes, on April 14th, the Hiawatha City Commission discussed a citywide ban on fireworks, and also approved the sale of fireworks within the city limits of Hiawatha. And so at that time, we had talked about allowing a trial from noon to 8 on July 3rd to allow fireworks to actually be discharged within the city of Hiawatha. We did not write that into the new ordinance. It was just we suspended that ordinance that does exist to allow that to happen. In that time period from July 4th, 8 p.m. or July 3rd, 8 p.m. into July 4th, there were a total of 8 calls to the that the police department was dispatched to. 6 of those calls were directly related to the illegal discharge of fireworks within the city limits. 2 calls were for fires out of the Hiawatha Lake, dumpster fires. I was actually present on both of those calls to see why that happened. And it was just the trash got too hot is all. Nobody actually intentionally set a fire. It was just that the fireworks trash just combusted. It was just too hot when they put it in the dumpsters. Like I said, I put this on here for discussion to see if there was going to be any proposed changes to the fireworks ordinance at all going forward into the future, and I would like to open it up to discussion at this time.
So I guess in April, we voted to allow the fireworks to be discharged in Hiawatha from noon to 8 on the 3rd.
That's correct.
I voted against that, and my reasoning was, number one, veterans with PTSD, the elders, those with Alzheimer's, those with dementia, those with animals. And this weekend, the July 3rd, July 4th, weekend, everything that went on just reinforced why I voted no for that and why I'll continue to vote no for that. I understand, yes, it looks like we only got 8 calls, but I could probably double that in text messages and complaints that I received, phone calls that I received. When I told them call the police department, their attitude was the police department won't do anything anyway. And I didn't like hearing that from the community. Bottom line, if we have a city ordinance, it needs to be enforced. They don't have to take a call. If they're out patrolling, address the issue, and I'm sure the officers did that. And, maybe didn't necessarily document how many stops they had to make and how many verbal warnings they had to make, et cetera. But July 4th, it was a problem all evening. July 3rd, it went well on after 8 o'clock. I just don't think that I just don't think that the trial basis worked out. I think doing it on the 3rd just opened up the door, that it continued on throughout the evening, and then the 4th was even worse than it has been in the past. And that's just my thoughts on it.
Now, I myself, I had positive feedback. There was a couple of people that said, they asked me, when is this supposed to be over? I said, well, it was only on the 3rd. Well, it's still going. And I go, well, that's just the way it is. People do that. But the feedback I had was they wanted it, the time to change. They would rather have a little bit in the dark as opposed to all of it in the light for the kids. But that was what I heard.
Mhm.
Just a different group of people we hang out with.
Sure.
Well, I will say that we had plans to set fireworks off on the 3rd, and we did not because it was blistering hot. So I kind of agree with what you're saying. I do think I would like it. I would like to see the 3rd and the 4th. I think a lot of the calls I got were I had both ways, a lot of thank yous. And then the other side of it was people complaining, hey, we were only supposed to let fireworks off on the 3rd, but we're doing it on the 4th. And why is the city not enforcing it if they have it? So I kind of come to the conclusion that, if those were the calls that I were getting, is why are we not enforcing it? And was there any tickets written from our police officers on this or not?
I'm aware of it.
That Ricky's aware of, no.
Okay, so that kind of reinforces that, maybe it wasn't that bad and it was taken care of. I think that no matter what we do, every year we probably have 5 to 6, 7 people that are going to call in and complain. And I think that's probably pretty normal for the last 6 years that I've been on the commission, or 5 years, whatever it is. So I feel that it was a success. The country club deal was spectacular. And I would like to just look at us. And I guess the other side of this is also, I did actually pull up all surrounding towns around us, comparable to size, and even Topeka, which is way bigger. They do have 3rd and the 4th for the which I had a piece of paper here. I don't have it right now, but Holton, Seneca, I believe Sabetha was only on the 4th, but most of the cities around us all had the 3rd and the 4th, and it was from 10 o'clock to midnight. And so I think that if we were to do something like that, we're not going to get the complaints because it's legal. And I think a lot of the complaints were because people were calling in and they weren't seeing anything done about someone doing it illegally. If it's not illegal, then then they can't call in. And so ultimately, again, this is the 4th of July. I wasn't quite prepared to talk about this this soon. I was hoping we'd wait till next year, but I myself would like it to have something on the 3rd and the 4th next year, because I do think that it was received well, and it was great that we had 2 fireworks stands in town, and I think that people made some money, and we also got some tax revenue collected. So overall, it was a win, and I think that it's been 40 years. We're well overdue, and again, I've said this before that I'm in Oregon right now on a fire, and as I lay in my hotel on the 3rd and 4th, there was people lighting fireworks off in a burn zone nonstop. So if they can do it, I don't see why we can't do it here in Hiawatha. I hate to have 5 or 6, 7 people complain and ruin it for all the residents in Hiawatha.
I think about all the people that didn't call. All the people that it bothered that they didn't take the time to call. I cannot tell you the number of people that have mentioned it to me. I manage a senior citizens apartment complex. I had multiple residents mention it. I'm totally against it. I really am. I'm all for celebrating our independence. But what we've done in the last 40 years has worked fine. The city life is available. We do the city works, the fireworks show. That's just where I stand on that. I was glad to see the fireworks stands. They seem to be very busy. One of them apparently was charging dual tax rates. They posted that. I don't know how that was handled.
Can they do that?
But I'm glad we caught that. They put it on, I think it was either a Brown County or Hiawatha, that the register charged dual tax rates. So curious how that's going to play out, but. Dave, were you gonna say something?
I had a couple people that had dogs that didn't appreciate all the noise, so. And I don't see a reason to modify ordinance 2139.
I was one to vote yes in April, and I was willing to give it a try, but and I had more than 6 or 7 people who let me know that they did not appreciate it, they did not like it. It was upsetting for numerous all the things that you mentioned, and quite a few of these were people. Like I said, Tom, we all hang with different people. These were people who I didn't even necessarily know. But they knew that I was mayor, and they just said that they didn't understand why we changed that and they didn't like it. I think it's a bit unreasonable to think that the police are gonna be able to catch most people shooting fireworks, especially if they're in backyards and such. We're not gonna have them traipsing through backyards trying to hunt people down, but I was glad we tried it. I agree there's other ways to celebrate. And I also agree that the fireworks stands, I'm totally supportive of that. I don't believe that means that we're sending the wrong message that we have fireworks stands, but then we're not gonna let people shoot off fireworks in town. We had the fireworks stand, granted it was outside of town, but we had them for 10 years. So I would be happy to see that still, but every bit of feedback I had was that it was not what they appreciated. So. And obviously, we don't have to make any decisions now. I mean, I don't see any reason to it. Like you said, Brian, you probably closer to June or July or whatever. But as long as all this was fresh in our mind, excuse me, it was worth at least discussing. So, is there anything else? Any other comments from the commission?
I'd definitely next year, I'd like to see the police department heavily enforcing the city ordinances.
Okay.
If it's a law, it's a law. It's not.
There will still be people shooting stuff
I'm
off.
sure there will be.
It's happened every year since I've lived here.
And I understand that, but I also understand there's this thing called the city ordinance.
I agree.
It is a law.
It
If it's
needs
a
to be
law,
followed.
it's a law. It needs to be followed. Period. Otherwise, we need to change the law, one of the two.
I will say this year was a lot worse though. Or maybe it's just I was hyper aware of it. I don't know. It just seemed like
Well,
there,
there were more fireworks in town on the 3rd.
yeah, and fourth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well,
it was nice. I liked it.
Okay, moving on to communications.
We have the June 2025 fire runs. We have the judge's report. We have the Booster Club newsletter, which contains kind of how the Booster Club is supporting the school district. They had some flags that they got for the cross country, a couple of sets of red hot clothing for 2 wrestlers that went to state this year, new sweatpants for the track team. They got new sliding mitts and wristbands and elbow covers for the softball team, which is a very modern thing to do. There's a lot, there's really, it's, safety minded as far as like softball and baseball goes now, better than it was in my time. They did get a new equipment trailer and some upgrades to the school entryway. And one of the future projects that they'd like to see there is they would like to do kind of a redo of the trophy case and a victory bell for the football field, which would be pretty neat. We have a letter from Spencer Barrett. And so what this letter is really containing is, this has come up in the past a few times, is what people would like to see are kind of a silent train horn. There are some surrounding communities that have that, where the trains will actually blow their horn as they're coming through town. These things actually do still make noise, but it's at a lower decibel rate. This, like I said, this has come up a few times in the past that I've been aware of. It's something that I'd like to look into, contact a few communities around, see, kind of what a cost is, how they paid for things like that. I remember last time, I think it was pretty cost prohibitive, but it doesn't mean that there aren't ways to get that done. And the last thing under communications would be this Sabetha Hospital invitation. And this is just a customer appreciation lunch and learn. This is going to be on Thursday, August 7th from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. at the Northridge Church Fellowship Hall located in Sabetha. And so that is all under communications.
Right, if anybody'd like to go, please let me know, I'll get you spots.
Mm.
So this silent train horn thing,
Mm-hmm.
does that fall under our as town's responsibility?
Usually, yes. And so, especially for the crossings that are in town, oftentimes what happens is, like the city of Hiawatha would work in conjunction with, like say UP Road, or I can't remember, BNSF, I think it is now. In conjunction with that railroad to get these installed. And I believe that there are grant programs out there that can help with things like this. I think that Sabetha has this installed. I think Seneca may too. I'd really like to contact both and ask, what their process was, and get that started, because like I said, this comes up once in a while. This is a common comment that I've read at the city of Hiawatha, and especially the last decade. And like I said, it came up again, so I think it's worth looking into.
Brad, I have done some research on this, and I know the biggest problem that Hiawatha has is we have 4 crossings that we would have to take care of.
Yes.
It makes the price of it almost I don't want to say untouchable, but it's well over $1.2 million last time I checked on it, and that price has gone up. So for the other towns that maybe only have 1 or 2 crossings, it's way more feasible. But our town, and I've always wanted to do this as well, but I think it's worth exploring. But yeah, we have 4 crossings, and that becomes a problem.
Yeah, I think what you're saying, and I'm remembering line up very well, because I was thinking it was like $250,000 a crossing the last time that we looked into this, if I remember right.
Yeah, it was 250 up, and they said some of them can cost 350 even.
Okay.
Olathe done that in their old downtown area there. There's tracks that run right through the heart of old downtown. They've
Yeah,
made those all no horn crossings and it's very, very expensive.
okay.
I don't know how you'd even do Oregon Street, cause you gotta make it so nobody can drive around the crossing arms and all that stuff, and the side streets may not be as bad, but maybe there's a grant out there or something.
That'll be worth checking into. Okay, to government body comments, I have none at this time. Dave?
Brad, I want to congratulate you on your 20 years too, and I agree with everything Becky said. That I was all hesitant when you applied for the administrator job about how quickly you pick up the budgeting process, the financing, and I've been amazed at how quick you learn this stuff. And I know you had some help from Michael Webb and whatnot last year, but I've been very impressed with your abilities coming into this. I never haven't done it before or been trained in doing it. And your background is absolutely beneficial, knowing all the workings of the city, other than what's in your office with all the dollar numbers that you have to figure out for us. So I appreciate you being here, and I hope you do stay for many more years.
Okay, thank you very much.
I would definitely agree. Brad, you do a great job. Love to see you stay on for a long, long time.
Thank you.
Tom?
Yeah, well, I'd like to congratulate Brad as well. And I'd like to say thank you to the fire department. And we had that community water fight out at the church. About 300 people showed up. The fire department showed up a couple of times. And they left really wet. They were good sports about it. It was good for the community. There was a lot of positive feedback about that. There was people I didn't even know out there.
Good.
Just coming out to enjoy it. It was a beautiful day for it too. So.
Brian?
Do you have any stoplight update, Brad?
At this time, the only update that I still have is, I believe we're still waiting for approval from KDOT. The only other update that I have from our engineer was the only comment that they got from KDOT was about the pavement markings that were up there. And so they had spec'd out thermoplastic, and KDOT wanted to move to paint. And I believe that's just because of the resurfacing of First Street. It'd be very expensive for KDOT to replace that. That's the only comment that I've had, so I believe it's still in that approval process.
That's all I've got today. Thanks.
Laura?
Thank you.
I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
So I guess I moved it second. To adjourn. Don?
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Oh, it's the short one.